This is going to be a playthrough of the game Cooking Customers. This is how your table is going to be set up with your main deck card in a pile on the table, your table cards with the table side up and the money side down in a pile, your 30 meal tokens and your 4 dice on the table. Each player will be dealt 5 cards. This is going to be a 3-player setup. Normally your cards would obviously be turned so that no one can see them, but for the sake of this demonstration, we're going to leave them face up so that you can see what we're doing. So the first player will draw a table card if they don't have one, and then they will make their play. So I am going to equip a cook on myself, and you can play 1 card on yourself, and then you can play 1 card on an opponent. And so I am going to play a health inspector on this player, and they will lose their next turn. So now I have a cook that can roll 3 dice. So I will grab 3 of the dice and I will roll, and I will get 2 meals. I will take the 2 meals and I will place them on my table card. The fired dice don't do anything unless you roll and all the dice turn up fired. If all the dice say fired, then your cook's fired. You have to throw them in the discard pile and wait till you get a new cook before you can roll again. Then this player would draw back up to 5 cards. Moving on to this player, they lost their turn, so for their turn they can simply take this card and put it in the discard pile, which we'll put over here so it's not confusing. Okay, and then we'll go on to our third player. Since they don't have they'll take a table card first off, and then since they don't have a cook equipped on themselves, they would want to put a cook on themselves right away. And then they either can choose to play a card on another player, or they can simply just discard it. The only card they have that they could play on another player right now is a customer card, which would say player loses a turn and you may take over their table, which at this junction of the game would be really up to that player whether they wanted to do. So we'll go ahead and do that. They'll play it on this player. So now I happen to have in my hand here a simmer down card, which will instantly stop a customer card. If I didn't have this, then I would also have the option of rolling 2 dice against the customer card, and if both turned up meal, I would beat the customer. I would take the meals for my table. But since I have this simmer down card, I don't need to do that. I can simply play that, get rid of it immediately, take 2 meals for the customer that I just beat, put them on my table, and then I can redraw that card that I played right away. So then back over here, they have a cook that can roll 3 dice, so they'll roll their 3 dice. And they got 2 meals. And then they'll draw back up to 5. So back over here, I am going to play a cook quits card on this player over here. This player over here has a super cook, which is actually immune to this card, the cook quits card, so I can't play that on him. So I'm going to play that there, and so she'll have to discard her cook. And then I'm also going to, I'd like to get some different cards in my hand, so I'm actually just going to throw away this thief so that I can draw back up to 5 cards at the end. I wouldn't have to do that, but I'm choosing to. So I'm going to roll my 3 dice for my cook. I got 3 meals. And now onto this player. So this player actually has multiple cooks in their hand, but the super cook here can roll 4 dice versus this one that can only roll 3. So I'm going to play that. I'm going to take this wet floor and I'm going to play it over here on this player. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll my 4 dice. I don't have a table because I'd lost my last turn, so I'm going to go ahead and take a table. I'm going to roll my 4 dice. I got 2 meals, so I'll put them on the table, and then play will move on to this player's turn. Okay, so at this point, this player does not have a cook, but they have a better offer card, and so, oops, I'm sorry. I forgot to redraw up for this player. Anyway, so they're going to probably want to take their better offer card and steal someone's cook. And of course I would choose to steal the person's who has the best cook. And I don't have anything in my hand here that can stop that. So she will take the super cook for herself that'll just get thrown away. And then she can also still play a card on herself, since that was technically a card played on another player. And so she only needs 2 meals, and she can roll 4 dice. So I would probably put the first aid kit on myself, just to have that equipped. And then I would roll my 4 dice. Okay, now she got 3 meals and she only needed 2. So even though she gets 3, she'd take 3 meals, you won't draw your new table until your next turn. So the extra meals do not transfer over. So now that she completed that table, she'll flip it over to reveal how much money she's earned. And that'll stay visible to all the players for the rest of the game. So, and earlier I also forgot to draw this one up because I'm talking, I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. So for my turn here, I've got a cook that can roll 3, but I've got a -2, so I'm only gonna be able to roll 2 dice. I'm actually gonna try and offer this cook more money to come work for me. Of course, normally I wouldn't be able to see what card she had, so I wouldn't know whether she could stop me or not. But if she had this card, which is a counteroffer card, she could stop that. She can't, so I'm gonna go ahead and take that and replace my cook. With that, you can only have 1 cook at a time. So now I can roll 2 dice instead of just 1, and I'm only gonna play 1 card this turn. So. Oh, and I rolled 2 fireds. So my super cook is fired and I have to throw them away. So this is the benefit of playing the minus cards on other people. Not only do they get less meals, but they have a higher chance of getting fired because they're rolling less dice. So my super cook goes away and I draw back up to 5 and play continues on to this player. And I will play this cook who can roll 3 dice. And I will play the cook called in sick on my opponent over here so that they will lose their next turn. And I will roll my 3 dice. And I only got 1 meal. Okay, play goes on to that player who for their turn can simply get rid of their cook called in sick thing. Thank you. I need to draw up my cards to 5, end of my turn. Okay, so I come back over to here and I am going to now I have cooks in my hand, but just because I want to be mean, I'm going to actually take this person's cook instead. However, they have a counter offer card, so they will counter my better offer, enabling them to keep their cook. And so then instead of doing that, I will just play this cook on myself. So now I will roll.
They draw a card.
Yep, and they will draw a card up. Thank you. So I'll roll my 3 dice. I got 3 meals, which completes this table. Again, the extra meals do not transfer over to my next table, so I just throw those over in the pile, turn that over, revealing the tip earned, and play moves on to the next player. I draw back up to 5. Over here, this player will play a health inspector on me over there. And they will put some gloves on themselves. And then we'll roll our 3 dice. 3 meals, again, completing the table. Again, extra meals don't transfer. So now everyone has a completed table. Okay, going over to this player, the first thing they'll do, oops, sorry. It's gonna be a terrible video. The first thing this player will do is draw a table because they don't have one. And then since they don't have a cook, they'll put a cook on themselves and they'll probably play either one of the red cards on another player, or maybe they would thieve some equipment if they wanted to.
Oh, you lost your turn.
Okay. You still could have played it over here even though I don't have a next turn. It would just affect me next time. Yes. So then you can roll your 2 dice. Pick 1 meal. And then for this turn, I will simply get rid of the health inspector. I always like to leave any card that has you lose a turn in front of yourself until your turn comes up, and then just for your turn, get rid of it. Just reminds you and all the other players that you've lost your turn. So moving over to this player, and since I didn't get a turn, I won't draw my new table. So this player will draw their table. Oops. So I have 9. And then I am going to play a... Ooh, boy. So I've got a cook that can roll 3, but I've got a -2. Now I could play this teamwork on myself, which would give me 3 extra dice to roll after I rolled this one, but I can only roll 1 dice for the cook right now. And the likelihood of me getting fired is really high, and I will lose these purple cards if I get fired without ever getting to use them. So I'm actually gonna hold off on that. I'm gonna, for my 1 card I'm gonna play this turn, I'm gonna have her cook quit. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and roll my 1 die and take my chances. And I got fired, so it's a good thing I didn't play my blue or my purple card. And now this is only for your next roll, so that goes away as well. And then I draw back up to 5. Moving on to next player's turn. They do not have a cook. However, they can still play their 2 cards. What I would do is I would play one of the purple cards on myself, and then next time I get a cook, I'll be able to use that, and then I would throw one of them red cards out on one of the other players. And then I'd draw back up to 5, and that'll be the end of your turn. So for this player, I would draw a new table card. And then I'm gonna play got a raise card on myself. And that's all I'm gonna do for this turn. And I'm gonna have my 3 dice, -1 for this. I'll always roll this first, so I'll roll my 2 dice. And I got 2 meals. And now I can roll my extra 2 dice for my raise. And I got 1 meal. The purple cards do not cancel out the red cards. Your cooking roll here is always rolled first, and then your extra stuff is rolled after your cooking roll. So then this can go away, because that was only for 1 turn. These are always only 1 and dones, so that goes away. I draw back up to 5, and move on to this player. So the only cook we have is this cook equipped with gloves. I have gloves, but that's okay. That doesn't affect anything. And then that'll be the card played on myself. And I will play this -2 over here. It's okay that she doesn't have a cook. That'll just affect her the next time she can actually roll the dice. So I will roll 2 dice. And I got a fired and a blank. So I'm still safe from being fired, but I just don't get any meals. And then I'll draw back up to 5. And onto her turn. Again, she doesn't have any dice she can roll. I would go ahead and play my boom card on another player, and then I would probably just throw something away, either one of the blues or one of the thieves, either way, just so that I could draw 2 cards, because I want to be able to get a cook, and I have a better chance of getting a cook if I draw 2. And I only have a table over here that's worth 4, so to play extra blue cards on myself at this point in the game is kind of pointless, because I'm probably not going to need them. So moving on to this player, we've got some gloves we'll play on ourselves, and we're going to play a cook quits card over here on this player. They'll lose their cook. And then I'll roll my 3 dice. I got 3 meals, which completes this table. And normally we'd only play till 20. And so we were just gonna really play till 10 with this sample. And so that's already, this player would be the winner.